Yes, so just want to get started. Happy Sunday, everyone. Uh, just want to really say thank you, everyone, for being in attendance. I have some wonderful guests here for you all today. Just a quick thing about Kings and Queens Love. Kings and Queens Love is about inspiring love into the new generation and helping our present and past generation heal from love trauma. Kings and Queens Love will help single individuals find and rediscover love within themselves, encouraging to love again, and will also empower those. I wanted to bring these amazing people together to have them to share insights, influences about their life as an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is about having a relationship with yourself and believing in what you're creating, having faith that you can support and inspiring others and bring happiness to them. And the one thing I could say, everyone here on this panel has brought happiness and love and inspired me in so many different ways that I'm just truly blessed to have everyone in my presence. Our panel this evening features people from various stages in entrepreneurship. So I just want to say thank you for everyone for joining. And once again, happy Sunday, beautiful people. For those who have been around, this is the previous Kings and Queens Love iteration. Welcome back to the fourth installment. I would like to introduce the panels below to our entrepreneurship panel. And as we have here, we have Bonnie Humphreys. Bonnie, if you could say something about yourself, and I'm gonna go through everyone here.
Hello, everyone. You know, when you're like, oh, we're going to introduce ourselves and you wonder if you're going to be first and you're like, I hope it's not me. Here I am. Thank you so much, Ace, for having me, and also fellow panelists. Excited to, I met you all in the past 10 minutes, but excited to be here. So everyone who joined, thank you for those who are listening. My name is Bonnie Humphreys. On the interwebs, I go by the Curly B. She is my personality and also my alter ego and how I express myself to the world. Throughout the day, I am a management practitioner. I am a chief of staff at the House of Athlete, freelance model, a coach, an influencer, and all of the things that fall in between that. I learned very young that I had a lot of things to offer into the world, and I did not want to allow myself to fit into one box or one identity. So through my blog and through my the Curly B is how I make sure that I have enough space within each of my identities to just be able to offer all of my passion and creativity to the world. So yeah, I like to believe that I am here for a short time, not a long time. So while I'm here, I just want to make sure that I have a good time. So excited for this conversation and everything I'm going to learn from fellow panelists and just questions that come through.
Thank you for introducing yourself. And next up, Dr. Marcia Evans and Anthony Joshua. If you could introduce yourselves.
So I'm Anthony Joshua. I'm an expert level life coach and licensed clinical therapist. I do a few different things. I work with clients individually as well as in relationships. So I do a lot of couples counseling. And I also work with high-level CEOs and entrepreneurs, helping them eliminate stress and overwhelm so they can focus on the things that matter most, like scaling their businesses and loving on their families. So that's a little bit about me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marcia Evans. I have my doctorate in clinical psychology with a concentration in forensics. I worked in a prison system for about 10 years. Long story short, ended up quitting my job and entering my spiritual awakening, all that good stuff, and shift my life into coaching, where now I coach, I'm a manifestation coach. In addition to that, I'm also an investor. So I have various Airbnb properties, and I also have Turo, stocks, crypto, you name it. That's what we're doing right now.
Yes, and then next, Yasmin.
I'm so proud of you. You said it right. Hi, everyone. My name is Yasmin Debnam. Everyone calls me Yaz. Please feel free. I am full-time real estate broker here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I assist people in buying, selling, and investing in real estate. I also co-host a podcast called Through Colored Lenses, where I discuss a plethora of topics with a co-host who doesn't look like me. We don't share the same lifestyle or the same life circumstances. And I think that that is the beauty of life, is understanding that although we're all incredibly different, we're all kind of innately similar, and it's a beautiful thing. Honestly, I'm just blessed to be here. I'm grateful to be here. It sounds like I'm in amazing company. I can't wait to hear how this conversation goes. And Christopher Ace Pearson, thanks for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Next up, we have Jenna Patton.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jenna Panton. From my accent, you can hear I was born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago, proudly from the Caribbean. And I am the head of diversity, equity, and inclusion and internal communications at a nonprofit in New York City. But I also have my own business. So I have a candle and home fragrance business called Shakonia Candles. And our goal is to transport you through a paradise filled with peace, renewal, and hope, the healthiest way. So sustainability is embedded in everything that we do. I'm also a public speaking and speech fundamentals teacher for kids grade 4 through 12. And similar to Bonnie, I'm not gonna stay in one box. Nobody can put me in it because I'm a free spirit and I just can't contain it. So, we have so much talent to give. So I continue to find these avenues and to really elevate a lot of my skills. So I also have a blog, a mom's blog called Mom and for Jays. And yeah, I'm so happy to be with all of you and thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for being here. And last but not least, my brother, Tokyo D.
Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. My name is Tokyo D. I own Dojo Studios in New York City. I'm an investor in a couple of other studios in Long Island and Queens area. I've written songs for a few people, and also done some production and shows, etc. at places like SOBs, the Fillmore, DC, in California, and several different venues as well. And I'm basically just a creative, so I try to figure out whatever space I can and to inspire the youth. And also I do a little bit of work with people that are developmentally disabled and young people, trying to get them basically active in the music industry, and not only in the the rap side of things and the artist side of things, but also on the executive side of things, because I feel like if we push our youth to kind of understand that the music industry is bigger than just being artists, then we can start to have some more ownership and value. So I'm excited to share my thoughts and input on that, and you guys are amazing, and I'm happy to be in such great company.
Did we lose Chris for a minute there?
I
didn't know if there was a dramatic pause.
Back to haunt me again. I said, Lord, Chris is going to kill me today.
I was like, dramatic pause, add a little excitement. Okay.
And scene. Wow, but I think it's just while we have Chris sign back in, I think it's really incredible that we have such an amazing group of people. I see Chris is now
Yes.
saying Chris is on as a host. Chris, do we have you back?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that, Wi-Fi issues. So yeah, just to get more started, one thing I want to ask and I want the audience to know is, what's so important about being an entrepreneur, and also like the vulnerability that comes with being an entrepreneur. Can you speak more about that, like the vulnerabilities that come with that, and how does that make you feel? And I'll let Jenna speak about that if she can.
Sure. I think there's a lot of vulnerability just coming into the space of entrepreneurship. Personally, for me, I grew up in a household where, again, in the Caribbean, it was more of like, get a really good education and get a good job. And it wasn't, owning your own thing really wasn't part of our upbringing. And so me entering that space was very, very fearful. It was all about climbing the corporate ladder at first. And I said, this just can't be it. It can't be it. And I want to teach my kids also to really explore things outside of just this corporate space. And for us in this family, I heard Marcia talking a lot about, wealth and investments and different things. In this family, we talk a lot about generational wealth. And so that's going to come not just from working in a corporate space. This has come from owning your own. But I had to be vulnerable. I had to step in my fear and then move through it to be able to become an entrepreneur. And I did it all in the middle of the pandemic and launching our business then. And that was even more fearful because I didn't know where my job was, you know, the stability of my job was going to be. There was a lot of risk, but it was all worth it because it was for me, my family, and my community, and really and truly emotional and mental wellness.
Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to speak about that?
Yeah, I can jump in. I think, interestingly enough, when I think about vulnerability in entrepreneurship, but at least particularly in my journey, I feel like I joined into like entrepreneurship and started my own side hustle through the business of vulnerability, just being vulnerable with sharing my life on social media, whether it be beginning with sharing my hair routine, sharing my lifestyle, like beauty products that I use, my health rituals, and like as things started going, just like opening up the window a little bit more into my life and having to be vulnerable through that. So I think just being comfortable and leaning into vulnerability, you'd be surprised at how much it can connect you to people into the world. And a lot of time throughout, just like probably been running my blog for the past 6 years, and I've connected with people globally that sometimes I sit back and I'm just like, if I didn't open up the window into my world, this would have never happened. So I like to think that like vulnerability to the entrepreneur is like writer's block to the writer. And like, you have to be comfortable with being vulnerable, to being able to be comfortable to fail, be able to be comfortable to walk in fear, and also be comfortable telling people that, like comfortable talking to other entrepreneurs and saying, I don't know, can you teach me? I learned this and I failed and I have no idea how to navigate this. And I think like a lot of entrepreneurs are walking sort of like, you know, you're shepherding a business when you don't know what the outcomes can be. And only for you to way to like, you know, to know is vulnerable and to be able to know how to ask the right questions. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And then just speaking to that, we do have a manifestation coach on here, Dr. Marcia Evans. I want to ask, what is manifestation and what made you become a manifestation coach?
Oh, we're not. Oh, I thought the laptop was on mute. So, so manifestation is basically bringing something tangible into your reality. So you're bringing something you actually want into your reality, simply put. So for me, I got into manifestation, long story short, right? Like I had mentioned earlier, I ended up quitting my job. So prior to quitting my job, I was very stressed out, you know, like I worked in a prison system for about 10 years, lived in various different states, climbed my way up the corporate ladder, got all these degrees, like all the things that I was told to do growing up. I was raised in a Jamaican household. I'm Jamaican. My parents are Jamaican. So it was very much, you go to school, you get a good education because we work so hard to get us here. And that's that. And that's what I knew. So I worked my way up to getting a doctorate, to making over 6 figures. And then I was stressed out. I started experiencing depression, anxiety. And remind you, I was working in the mental health department. So I did like a lot of psychological testing and also therapy. And I had to leave because if I'm not right mentally, how can I actually give back? So anyhow, I ended up leaving. And within a 3-week span, my aunt got sick with COVID. My grandma got sick with COVID. My aunt passed away. My grandma passed away. And then I had a pretty traumatic situation happen to me, a near-death situation happen to me, where it essentially woke me up, right? And it really taught me that life is too short. And if I'm in a situation that I'm not happy with, I need to remove myself. So my biggest goal when I left my job and all that happened in 3 weeks was to really find my peace and happiness. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care about the degrees. I just really wanted to be at peace. So I tapped into, and I knew about manifestation. I knew about the chakra system. I know about the brain, but I really started tapping into what that really meant and what that really meant for me. So I started teaching myself, how can I manifest, right? How can I rewire my subconscious mind? And that's what I do now. We operate based on the subconscious mind. So how can I actually tap into that and essentially really changed my life. So I started tapping into that, started to learn how to rewire my subconscious mind, and really just started changing my mindset and my energy. And now, over the course of a year and a half, I'm happy, at peace, and I'm in alignment with my job, with my business. So that's why I got into manifestation, because it has worked for me. And I feel like we don't really know what manifestation is, right? Like, a lot of people think, oh, I was thinking and it happened, or I wrote it out and it happened. And a lot of times that's really not the case. It's manifestation is a lifestyle. It's the little things that you do that compound over time that changes your reality.
Yeah, and speaking of that, like you hit on so many key points. I know you have Anthony next to you who does. You speak more about how, what like some of the skills they do and helping people deal with that, deal with stress and manage stress.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. Thank you.
Okay, no, I was saying with Anthony, I know he deals with also with clients who deal with stress. So I wanted him to speak more about how do you guys both manage people with stress?
So something that I usually do when my clients first see me on my initial call is I gather information. So I'm actively listening, I'm asking open-ended questions. And so really what I'm looking for is for my clients to identify what the stressors are, right? I want to know specifically, what is it that's causing the distress? What domain of life is it in? Is it in work, school, home, right? And then I'm going to be looking for their belief system around whatever it is that they identified the stressor to be. So once I get into the belief system, right, I start to challenge any negative beliefs that they have. And what that typically does is it has the clients pretty much looking in the mirror and asking themselves, I've been raised with this belief, but is it fitting in my, where I'm at right now in life? And once they start to question that, we can move past breaking down those, their limited beliefs and the barriers that's kept them where they are, present day. So it's really just bringing to consciousness, bringing to their awareness that these are limited beliefs, right? You're not really stuck. You may be stressed out, but it's because of the way that you're perceiving this. And sometimes people just need a objective, third party to find their blind spots.
Thank you for speaking on that. That's like, I think, please put it in the chat. I know a lot of people probably agree with Anthony and Marcia. Like these are some amazing people. And I definitely want you to, please agree with them. If you have a lot to say, express yourself. And a lot of things I heard has something to do with like power. And one thing I really want to, when I think of somebody with power, I think of my brother Tokyo D. And one thing I was recently watching was a movie, Colin Kaepernick, his recent movie. He mentions trust your power, love your blackness. You will know who you are. This reminds me of him because, owning his own music studio. So some of the things I want to know, D, is what type of power do you feel that you have to have within yourself to operate your own business at a high level?
Thank you for the question. I think that, Colin has a great point. I think that's a point that was really one of my icons and one of people that I looked up to, which was Nipsey Hussle. He was very big on owning your own music and taking control of your own situation because of his experience when he went to a record label and how he felt he was getting used. Now, I think that a big part of using your own power to develop your business and to beginning your independence is failure. And I mean that, and literally, in my experience has been the failures that I have happened, or the labels that I've been to that turned me down when I first started. Having to go back in that mirror and look at yourself and be like, well, maybe they said this is not for me. They said this is not something that I'm going to be successful at. And in those spaces, you have to really reaffirm to yourself, wait, I am powerful beyond measure. I'm just, they don't have the vision to see what I possess. They don't have the vision to see what my potential is. And that created the spaces for me to say, well, since they don't see it and they've developed their own establishments, let me try to develop my own establishments. So I think that it's really about power. You have power in your independence. You have power in stepping out and saying, I don't believe this no. Like, I don't believe the no you gave me. It's not real to me. I don't accept it as my truth. I believe that there are, spaces and availability for people that do enjoy what I do. And I do believe that I am strong. And I feel like that comes from within yourself. So I hope that answers the question, but I definitely believe that the power for owning your own business starts within you, and you being able to face adversity and say, pardon my language, but F that, F that, whatever that knowledge, F that. I don't believe that. That is not real. And I think that when you do that, you gain strength, because then affirmations will start coming. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you'll find that you'll get some more success on your own stepping out sometimes than if you was just going into a system that's already designed, that wasn't designed for your talent.
Oh, and thank you for sharing that. And speaking of someone that has a lot of potential, in her business today, she's a real estate agent, and I just want to know, Yasmin, it's like, in your line of work, communication is key. What did you learn about yourself that made you maximize your potential as an entrepreneur? And what are some of the lessons that you could share with the audience that, for young women who want to be, and young men too, that want to be in your field of work?
I love that question. I think that the biggest thing I realized is that I'm in my way. Like everyone else in this panel has said, a lot of us, whether it was taught or learned, because I genuinely believe it's caught, not taught. A lot of us aren't just listening to somebody talk at us like, yeah, I'm gonna learn that. No, we're looking at people in our lives and we're picking pieces of those behaviors. So as a Black woman, of course, I was told, you're gonna have to work twice as hard, be twice as smart, be twice as good in a white man's world, right? And that chip I put on my shoulder made my goals, my feelings, my drive almost insatiable. So I could never be grateful for anything. I could never slow down. I could never give myself a pat on the back. It was always keep going. And the more and more I experienced, the more I realized, wait, who said I have to work twice as hard? I have to work smarter, not harder. Who says that the white man's ice is colder? That's a lie. Who said that I have to pretend to be somebody I'm not to get where I want to go? That's a lie. Everything I have that's meant for me is here already, and tapping into it and really sitting in my truth and in my power is where a lot of that energy came from. So for me, the failures were more or less reminders that I'm doing something I wasn't genuine in doing. A lot of the times I had to be extremely vulnerable with myself and realize, listen, you're your worst enemy right now. You're the problem. You don't feel like you're worth it, so you're not. And that goes back to what Dr. Marcia said. When it comes to that manifestation and getting what you want in life, the things you're telling yourself, you would not even tell someone you care about, but you will tell yourself that every day and expect to somehow have this life of abundance. It doesn't really work that way. So I think that for me, what I've learned in the process thus far is that when it comes to my mindset, I am in my way. I put the chip on my shoulder, I can take it off. Me being Black is not putting an extra boundary in my way, but it's the avenue I'm choosing to go. Like Tokyo D said, why am I going down somebody else's road when I can pave mine? There is no other me. So I appreciate you asking that question. I hope I answered it.
Yes, now you answered it as well put, and I know I'm not a woman, I'm a man, so I can't even imagine what obstacles um, you guys go through. And I know someone who I know has been through a lot of obstacles. Speaking to Isbani, in her field of work, working in sports, working as a fitness enthusiast, those two types of fields, sports and they always say like, oh, it's made for men. I never agree with that. Bonnie, can you speak more about, what are some of the obstacles that you like to see change firsthand, that you want to see grow in the industry, that you would like to share and talk about?
Exciting. Thanks, Ace. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm new to the sports world, sports and fitness space, and working on the management side of it. And honestly, when I think about what I want to see change in the sports world, I wouldn't say I wouldn't see it through the lens of man and woman, right? I think I see it through the lens of health and sports. I think the same thing that what America is really great at and what America is really horrible at, if you bridge the two together, I think we'd be better, right? So what America is really, really great at globally is just marketing sports and capitalizing off of sports, right? What America is horrible at is our healthcare system and building healthy people. And I think that there is some solution and there's a bridge that can be built between centering sports and centering fitness as health. Like, why isn't sports and fitness incubated in the health industry? Why isn't someone who's a personal trainer considered like someone who I work in health? Like, why don't you give the same level of respect to someone who is a coach as the same level of respect that you give to a doctor? And to me, I think there's so much preventative care that goes into someone who takes care of their health on a daily basis that, can save so much money in the healthcare system, Medicare system. But I think with America, we're so brittle in just seeing people go through that system and go through, medical and bills and health insurance that we don't want to bridge the two. So generally I see I would love to see that obstacle shift. I think athletes, the athlete lifestyle, the performance athlete lifestyle, when you think about your pro athletes, they have the healthiest lifestyle in the world. They train, they eat healthy. Everything that they do has to be very ritual. It has to measure up. It has to be, it directly relates to their performance. And if normal beings like us, we adopt it, it'd be more healthier people. So I would love to see the sports industry really bridge the gap between health and sports and not see them as two separate things.
I love it. I love it. And especially about the whole being a healthy part. And I think that's something that we all can agree on, that it should be one. And also just wanted to bring to Jenna's attention, I know she has a candle business, and a lot of when I think of candles, I think of emotional support. So I would just love for Jenna to talk about how do you incorporate that in your business, and how being a first generation woman from Trinidad and Tobago, what does that mean to you to have your own business?
Yeah, so for the first part of the question, the sense of smell has been known. There's a lot of research that's went into it, right? But a sense of smell can shift someone's moods and emotions. I mean, think about how certain smells illuminate memories of contentment and delight. If you think of a specific scent, you walk into a room like, oh my gosh, that reminds me of when I went to my grandmother's house and we had a good old time in my childhood, if that's the case for you. So for us, we really wanted to make sure that behind each of our candles, there was a story. It wasn't just that we're picking names and picking scents and fragrances. It's truly a science, I would say that. On the back end, mixing with my 6-year-old daughter at certain points in time, mixing and really coming up with these beautiful scents for every single season, and the names to resonate with the stories. But really and truly, DEI and sustainability is embedded into our business. So from the sustainability piece, we're a certified Jersey City green business, but we're also a registered New Jersey sustainable business, because what we wanted to do is to really bring something clean. Growing up in Trinidad and Tobago, my mom and my dad really couldn't afford any type of high-end candles. So what they're gonna get is something that they got from the streets, they brought home, it smelled nice, and that was it. But it really wasn't a concern of thinking, why is this candle and we didn't know at the time that it was a carbon buildup. It just had like the black smoke coming from it, right? When you light it, they wouldn't blow it out after 3 hours. There was no candle care, anything like that. But doing some research, really understanding that this is very important to know what you're bringing into your home, because when you think of wellness, you have to really think about it holistically. So not just emotional and mental wellness, but really and truly from the sustainable piece. Right. And we already know that there's racial disparities within certain communities, AKA the Black community. Right. And so we want to make sure that we're less vulnerable, and starting with our home. So that's what I did for my home and my kids, and extending out to the community. To your second point and your second question, Chris, it really means a lot that I am a business owner, as I mentioned before, not really knowing what that looked like, because I didn't see that growing up. My dad worked for one company, still is, for 38 years, one company as an accountant for 38 years, didn't finish high school. He kind of learned the trade and he stuck with it, still trying to figure out Peachtree as he's about to retire and want to still, remain active. But I really, it means a lot because now speaking to my parents, they're so proud that I went in the direction of owning my own business. Who knows if I am going to stay with the company that I'm at. But I know that my business really drives this passion within me because I'm able to not only create a wellness space for myself, but my community and support other nonprofit organizations who's doing the work. We work very closely with a lot of other nonprofit organizations, such as Black Mental Wellness, who has 4 Black women psychologists to do work in the communities. And wellness is really important to us because, again, we've launched in the middle of the pandemic. We all know what that looked like, and we all know the racial injustices that are not isolated events. And so we wanted to support our community, but also it's therapeutic for me. It's my own mental wellness. And I had to come and face the fact that, that I do have anxiety, right? And I do, because I think at certain points in time, as you know, growing up in the Caribbean and also as a Black person, it's hard to say those things, right? You have anxiety or you have depression or whatever the case may be. I'm definitely, it looks different for me because I have functioning anxiety. So it looks nice and cute, like you're trying to get things perfect, right? But that's not the case. And so really and truly, these candles and home fragrances allow me to help with my own mental wellness and the community. So really important to have that space and to be an example for my daughter and my son.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's an amazing story. I love it, you know, the transparency, because, you know, as we were just speaking earlier in our conversation, a lot of people don't like to admit, you know, like, oh, they suffer from this, they, you know, suffer from that. And I think it's truly, you know, honest when people say that, hey, I need help, or hey, I like to get this managed. And speaking of that, my question for both Marcia and Anthony is like, what are some habits, you know, that you think that, you know, we can help with in terms of our community, in terms of like helping the younger people in our community, even the older people in our community, the young adults, the young children, in terms of helping them with, you know, just mental health, helping them with, you know, and you guys have, you both have businesses, you know, and backgrounds in that. So please share that.
Okay. So I'll go first. So one of the things, there's a few things, right? I think a lot of times we don't know our power and we kind of feel like we aren't good enough, whether it's subconsciously, unconsciously, we feel as though we won't be able to accomplish a certain goal because we don't truly believe in ourselves. So one of the things I want to share is believing in yourself, right? And to piggyback off of that, in the Black community, in the Jamaican community, a lot of times our mindset is on lack and what we don't have. I always hear, I'm so broke. I always hear, I can't afford this, or I can't go here because I don't have that, or this is not possible for me because I was raised like this. And we forget to focus on what we actually have. We forget to stay in gratitude. And gratitude, when we talk about energy, is one of the highest frequencies, is next to love. So when we talk about the things that we're grateful for, that alone will start to raise our vibration. When we start to vibrate and feel a different way, more of the things that we actually want will start to come into our reality. But we have to really stop thinking and feeling as if we don't have certain things, because we have so many things that we're not even aware of and not even grateful, not even saying thank you God, thank you universe, thank you ancestors, whatever you believe in, you know. So I think that's one of those two things, is believing in yourself, lack, and just knowing that you are super duper powerful.
Yeah, and piggyback off of what Marcia was saying, right? So a habit that I would recommend everybody do actually is get in the habit of monitoring your I am statements, right? Because we're manifesting every day. We're bringing into reality what we claim to be, right? And that follows I am. So anything that we do not want to reflect in our reality, we shouldn't follow it after I am, right? We only want to call into existence, into our reality, the things that we want for ourselves. So I would recommend that everybody just start monitoring what you say that you are, right? Monitoring your I am statements. And not only I am statements specifically, but your self-talk in general, right? The things that you're saying to yourself. As simple as it may be, you probably have more conversations with yourself than you do with anybody in, throughout the course of a day, right? So it's important that you're being kind to yourself. You're monitoring the things that you say to yourself, right? If you were to say your name in your head, not out loud, you'll probably hear your own voice. And that voice is telling you things throughout your day, constantly, right? What messages are you repeating to yourself? Those messages are creating images. What images, right? What mental pictures are you painting? All of those things are going to, at some point, manifest into your reality. So it is something that we just have to be more conscious of, more aware of. So when we do become aware of our negative thinking patterns, our negative, imagery, we're able to change it, right? That's when we're able to make shifts once we become aware of it. So it's a practice. It's something that takes time, but right, we talk about habits. We want to get in the habit of being able to identify our I am statements and our negative self-talk. So we are able to, insert reframes, positive reframes, once we become aware of it.
Right. And then also one of the things I also want to add is being intentional. A lot of times we're not intentional. We get up in the morning and we're just thinking about all the things we have to do for the day. Slow down. We can slow down. It's okay to take a breath when you wake up instead of thinking about, oh my God, I need to get ready. Oh my God, you're like, just slow down. Slow down. And what is your intention for the day? Is your intention to be happy? Is your intention to be at peace? And when you set that intention, that sets the tone for the day. It's a small, minute little things that really shifts overall. Is the compound effect, right? If you are intentional with how you're starting your day every day, eventually you're going to start feeling and experiencing different things.
I just had to take a deep breath, because that was some dropping gems right there. Like that's what you call knowledge, and I think everyone can agree. And speaking of healthy boundaries, because you guys just spoke about that, Yasmin, what are some healthy boundaries that you have for yourself that you rely on? That I would love for you to share.
What's my name, Christopher?
Oh my God. Okay, so I'll apologize. I'll apologize. We can go back and forth with this. I'm sorry. Yasmin, I apologize.
All right, Christopher, you off the chain. So I have a few boundaries. One big one is I've had to really get comfortable saying no. There was a long time when I felt like I had to say yes, and that meant I was doing my job right. If I said yes all the time, I answered my phone every 6 seconds. I never gave myself a break. It's okay to say no. So at 7 p.m., I do not answer my phone. I will call you the next business day. And long and behold, everyone is still okay by tomorrow at 9 a.m. The world is still going and everything's fine. Another thing, I'm not looking at social media at all until later in the morning. And that's because usually of business things. But the idea of rolling over, waking up and going onto social media and kind of starting your day by going down this comparison rabbit hole is so toxic because, like we all said, in a lot of ways, social media is like this magnifying glass glimpse into people's successes, wins, and happy moments. And in a lot of ways, we'll start saying, I should have done that. I should be there. I should be selling that house. I should be making as much as that agent. And I realized it comes second nature to viewing it. So I had to stop looking at that in the morning. Another thing, I walk my dogs twice a day. During that time, the morning time is about listening to those positive affirmations. A lot of times podcasts that are more, I'll say, circled around solutions and productivity as opposed to what I can't do and what's hard for me and why this is going to be harder for me. No, I'm focusing on the goal. I'm being intentional, like Dr. Marcia said. And a huge one is now I meditate so much more. Like she said, slowing down is a game changer in a lot of ways. A lot of us feel like I have to do it right now. I have to fix it. If I don't fix it right now, something's going to go crazy. And then we start making decisions from an extremely emotional place and making ourselves work twice, maybe 3 times as hard, only to get to the same solution we would have gotten to if we waited for 10 minutes, right? So in a huge way, I found that meditating and sitting still in myself and reminding myself how grateful I am, saying that out loud, reminding myself I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. that has helped. And those boundaries, meaning that nobody else can infiltrate them. If I'm meditating, I'm not answering you, I'm not talking to you, my phone's on do not disturb. When I'm walking my dogs, my phone's on do not disturb. Notifications get turned off. So my phone can no longer be this intrusive device in my life. And I feel that for me, that boundary was so necessary.
And Yasmin, if I can just add to that, you know, now in this time, right now in this era, when you think about it, people have so many different avenues to get to you. Okay, so you see how you said, okay, you have to turn off the notifications here, put the do not disturb on Teams and all of this stuff. Like, people have so many different avenues to get to you, and it becomes really overwhelming really quickly. And so you really have to honor that space, to your point of boundaries, in whatever way that looks like. So whether, as you said, whether it's in the morning or whether it's at night, whether it's 10 minutes just for your own self-care. And it's just so absolutely important, because I think Dr. Marcia mentioned this earlier. If you're not well, nobody else is well. Okay, so you can't, as a mom, if I'm not doing okay, my kids and my entire family is going to feel it one way or the other, and they're not going to be okay, right? And so we really need to honor this space, and we deserve it. I think sometimes I don't know where we lost that notation of we really deserve our own self-care. We deserve to be well, and we deserve to do things to make us well, whether it's walking a dog, whether it's meditation, whether it's lighting a candle, whether it's whatever the case may be, for you to be well in that space. So I think that's really important that you mentioned that, Yasmin.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yasmin. Sorry. D, go ahead.
All right, sorry. I just had to jump in because what you guys are saying is like super powerful. Also, like, right, some of the things we're talking about is in those beginning stages of entrepreneurship and developing that confidence and power, and about how the process of it, right? But the question about boundaries really struck me hard. And the thing I wanted to say is, when you get that success, right? Now, all money is not good money, right? Because when you start, you might not be making so much money, and you might not feel that level of whatever type of success that you want to reach in your business. But once you do start making money and things start booming, once I realize is, like, yo, all money is not good money. Sometimes you say yes to something, and it ends up, and it's like, yeah, I wanted my business to boom, right? So I have to say yes because I want that money to come in. But then those sometimes is that energy that comes around with those people, that it might not always be positive. And that's one of the main things I notice, particularly in my industry, is like, straight up, it's a lot of nefarious activity. It's a lot of negative energies that can be around. And you don't want to just continuously bombard yourself with those energies, as they said. So sometimes, it's not just saying no to that extra phone call, but it's also like saying no to money. And you have to be able to say to yourself that this, my energy and my value is more important than necessarily, my finances at certain times.
Well said, brother. Well said. And I think that, we all have times where it's like, oh, we need more money, but it's like, at what cost? And and that's real. And I have a question from the chat. How does one create the mental and physical capacity to extend yourself to execute multiple entrepreneurial ventures at the same time? If someone wants to answer that.
Bonnie, did you want to answer that?
I can answer it from just like one lens, right? I think I'm kind of reading the latter half of the question, to execute multiple entrepreneurial ventures at the same time. So in the question, as I'm reading it, I'm feeling just like I feel overextension, just like someone's overextending themselves, like you're trying to push your body past the limits, then it's probably than it wants to be. And the quote that I can leave, and I remember sitting on another panel some years ago that a mentor once said to me was, you can do absolutely everything that you want to do, you just can't do it all at the same time. And I think that so the first thing to answer that is just like really feeling like you can do many things at really poor quality, or you can focus on 1 to 2 things and do them really, really great. So a lot of times I think for me, I find myself just in this feeling, oh my God, I'm not productive. I got to write this blog post. I got to do this. I got to be pitching myself, and I'm only focused on work right now. And I need to be like making Instagram videos. And it's just like, no, you just need to focus on work right now and make sure that's doing good. You just started a new job, focus here. Everything else can wait. But trying to do everything at 10% capacity, it's one that can have you like mentally drained and emotionally drained, and feeling like nothing's moving forward, versus like, let me focus on one or two things that are not conflicting with each other. And then when I'm done doing these two things, maybe then these two things are moving themselves on autopilot, then I'm able to go spend time with something else. But just overextending yourself can actually kind of drain you from a mental and physical state.
Also, what Bonnie said a little bit, something that we do in our Airbnb business, we have it fully automated, right? So we're completely hands off. But in addition to that, in whatever aspect of your business, you might want to start delegating tasks, right? That was something that was big for me. I usually do a lot of things on my own, but there's apps like Fiverr. You can hire VAs. They could take on some of the load. You can seek out mentorship, right? These are things that I found to be extremely helpful on my entrepreneurship journey when it came to just, feeling overwhelmed with my work. Who, not how. There's a really good book called Who, Not How. I forgot the author's name, but, there's somebody for the job, right? We can't do everything ourselves in our businesses. And so it's very important that we preserve our mental bandwidth by hiring out and delegating tasks to others, who may be experts in those fields.
That's wild that you mentioned that book, because I was just encouraged to read that book. That's amazing. And Bonnie, just going off of what you said, I remember hearing you can be a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And in a lot of ways, I definitely agree with you guys. Once you're spreading yourself too thin, and especially if you have other people like me, I have ADHD, emphasis on the H, crazy energy. My mind, I'm always chasing the dopamine. I want to do what's fun. I want to do what I want. And that could change right from hour to hour. What I've learned is figure out how your brain maximize this potential and do that. So if that means that you're working on one thing on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and another thing Tuesday and Thursday, or this thing before 12 and this thing after 1, and you eat something, do that. Try what works best for you. It won't always be what someone else tells you to do, but it'll be what you tweak and personalize to yourself that seems to be the most efficient. So if you're going to go multiple avenues, I agree with Bonnie, 1 or 2 at a time. And don't expect success to look like a straight line. It won't. Boop, 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 boop. It's an adventure.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any moms on the call, but from a mom perspective, there were many times where, I was always trying to find this balance, right? So there's work and there's, my full-time job, the businesses and the kids and stuff like the dog. It was just too much. And so it was always me trying to figure out this balance. But what I think worked for me, and to your point, Yasmin, it's not cookie cutter, it's not one size fits all. So what I felt worked for me, specifically when it came to the kids, was 2 things. One, I had to have really good time on project management. So I would wake up really early in the morning to execute any type of work that I need to do, whether it was candle making or whatever the case may be. And that's before the kids woke up. But also what I think was even more important was incorporating them. So they always wanted to be a part of it, and they always wanted to be a part of helping mommy. And so whether it was having Jacia put the labels on, or helping me mix, or come up with a fragrance, or having my 2-year-old son sniff it to say if it's good or not, and you say yummy, it was all part of the whole process. And they literally wanted to be incorporated. I used to always think, oh my gosh, I have 10 minutes and they're gonna ask me to come and be a part of it. And I was like, oh, I need to finish this, because as I can't remember who mentioned this before, but we have so many tasks. I think it was you, Dr. Marcia. We have so many tasks in our mind that we're trying to do this checklist, but it was so important. And I see it now, and I know I will continue to see it, that it's important to incorporate them in the process. And these kind of tips, learnings, building of even the mindset of entrepreneurship is so important to them, because now my daughter, I heard her mention the other day, she said, Mommy, I really don't know what type of business I want to get into. Maybe it's selling wigs. and so just her seeing me do it, but also being invited to be a part of the process really extends into it. And it also helps me, it helps my mental capacity, because now I'm thinking, all right, I don't feel that overwhelmed now, you know, because I'm able to do both at the same time. I'm able to be there for them and not feeling that mom guilt, but also at the same time accomplish the task that I needed to accomplish in that moment.
Thank you everyone for sharing this. And then please share some books that that you feel that has helped you on your process. And then we have a question in the chat from my brother. What books, what do you feel are some books that are helpful to your mindset and lifestyle? So if you have some, please feel free to say some or put it in the chat. I think that's pretty amazing. And one of the things that D is putting up presence. I think that's what it is. D, I can't see that well, so please.
Yeah, it's presence. It's by Amy Cuddy. Bringing your boldest self to your biggest challenges. This is what I'm reading right now. It's great. Think and Grow Rich too.
Yes, that's something that I want to top as well. And to all the panelists, I would like to ask you, what are some messages that you would like to give to the audience? And also, what are some messages that you like to give to your younger self in terms of now where you are and where you want to go? Like, what would you tell your younger self now, or someone who's trying to become an entrepreneur or is on that path as well?
So I would say surround yourself with people who don't look like you, and make sure that you are not the smartest person in the room all the time. I think that a lot of us feel empowered by being in that position, and we don't realize how much we're limiting ourselves and what we have the ability to learn and be exposed to. So challenge yourself to be the dumbest person in the room. Challenge yourself to break out of the narrative of everyone needs to look like you in order for you to succeed. Diversity is power, honestly. Another thing is, if you have not considered it, things from your childhood affect the decisions you make on a daily basis, how you see interactions, how you see your self-worth. If you have not yet gained insight into that, go to therapy.
Love it, love it. Similarly, I'd say one is, you are what you eat, you are what you believe, you are what you consume, and you become really who you surround yourself with. So really, really be very conscious about all of the funnels and how things are coming into your life through your eyes, through your mouth. Just like really be conscious of that, because all of that forms how you show up in the world. And just like on entrepreneurial journey, just like think about like where you see yourself, where you desire to arrive to, whether that be, I want to be a CEO, or I want to, lead this this vertical in the business, before I want to do this. Like, identify that and then show up as that person every single day. I think there's this huge gap between who you are today and what you want to be. And then folks are like, when I get there, I'll be that person. No, like show up as that person tomorrow. Put that on and be that person, treat people that way, be that leader you want to be, because life is not going to hand you a costume tomorrow and say, now you're this person. It's going to meet you like opportunity and preparation meet each other. And you have to show up as that person. And I guess to the younger self, I speak about, this is just the message to my own younger self, that separate from entrepreneurship, is that life is gonna hand you lemons, make lemonade, and if you have leftover, make lemon pie. And I wouldn't tell my younger self anything else except that, because I think lessons and circumstance is what shapes and what forms character. And if you take the lessons and the hardships away, then it's not the same person that arrives, so.
So for me, I would say step through the fear, because fear is just false expectations appearing real. Fear is our mind that, we just think this may be the worst case scenario if we don't do it, but it really isn't that bad on the other side. So just know that, just push through the fear. Worst case scenario, you will learn something. And then the other thing is having unwavering faith. Having faith in whatever your source is, to know that whatever you are wanting to call in, whatever you're trying to do in business, that if it's for you, it will be destined for you. And that's it. Like if it's for you, it will work out. So I think those are the two biggest things. And I would tell my younger self that too, because woo, my younger self be scared all the time. I'm like, listen, girl, we got this, okay?
Yeah. You know, I would say seek out mentorship, right? Yasmin touched on it a little bit about being the smartest person in the room, right? You know, then who are we to learn from being in that situation? And so we want to surround ourselves with people who are greater, with people who have goals that we aspire to reach one, you know, someday. So we have to, you know, show up in that energy. We have to tap in. We have to network. We have to get in the room. And that's something that, you know, Marcia and I have been doing a lot lately, just plugging in the mentorships, just trying to surround ourselves around people who have the results that, you know, that we aspire to have one day. And what we find is they're open to sharing their wealth. They're open to us seeking them out. So if you have a goal and you know somebody that has accomplished that goal, seek them out. Surround yourself, get in the room, get the knowledge. You'll be surprised how willing, you know, they are to kind of show you the ropes.
Yeah, for me, I would say to anyone who's listening, two things. Don't limit yourself. We've talked about that a little bit, Bonnie and myself, and I think everybody here, not limiting yourself to what you can bring to the table. And then the other thing is to be gentle. Just be gentle with yourself, because oftentimes I think we're a little bit harsh on ourselves, right? We're our worst critics. We sometimes, you know, if we don't achieve certain things, or even sometimes when we fail, even though we're saying it and it sounds nice, you know, failure is a lesson. But in that moment, we might beat ourselves up, right? And so I think we really need to be gentle with ourselves. Specifically, we're facing so many things on a societal level, in our families, our friends, our own personal lives. Like, we really need to be gentle with ourselves with all these compounding crises that are around us at certain points in time. And just things that we're trying to juggle in this beautiful thing called life, right? So I think we need to be gentle with ourselves. My younger self, I would say, it's worth the fight. It's worth the fight. You're still going to be standing. I've had a lot of different things in my past that were not nice and cute for a little girl to deal with. And so, you know, oftentimes I think we also have to remind ourselves and our little selves that you're so worth it and you are good. I remember the first time I was doing theology of the body, and I was older then, I was in my early 20s, and the teacher told me, she was like, you are good. And it was so hard for me to accept. I was like, I'm good, are you sure? And so I think just reminding ourselves that we were so worth it to come into this world in the image of God. And I, you know, as a believer myself, you know, just knowing that I was made in the image of God and I'm his child, and I'm so worthy and I'm so good. And he believed that I have so much to bring to this world and have a seat at the table. I think that's a great reminder to my younger self.
I would say three things. One, to my younger self, I would say redefine your idea of success, right? I know personally, I looked at what other people thought was successful, and I never asked myself one time, hey, do you value that? Is that part of your own belief system? Because that will keep you more grounded in how you move through your career, and it will give you more confidence in your own abilities. So the second thing going into that would be, I think that confidence is more valuable than talent at certain points. Because, I mean, even if you have a talented person in the room and they're not confident to get up on that stage and put themselves out there, then someone who's mediocre level in that same field, they would be confident enough to step up and say, hey, I do this. And that person will get the opportunity. And I think the third thing was that people are always watching. So my experiences have always been that it's like, I'll put something up and it maybe had 100 likes. And I'm like, oh, I'm such a small level. And then I'll get an opportunity to open for like, you know, like P&B Rock or something, or maybe like Post. And I literally will go and then after everything is done, I'll get that little, hey man, I see your stuff is actually getting a lot better. How do you, wait, what? Like, hold on. So the people that I had the value in that, oh damn, it's only 100 people watching, but it's actually probably a lot more people that are watching and tapped into what you're doing. So if you're focused and more excelling, then the people that are the right people will come to see you, and yeah, just be confident, man.
Yeah, and I think everyone on this panel could write their own book, and you will have at least me buying at least 5 of those copies. I think what each and everyone you said was truly amazing, and and to all the audience, like I said, I have known these people for over 10 years, except for Marcia and Anthony, but it seems like now I know them for 10 years now. So I'm just truly happy that I've been able to become this host and start Kings and Queens Love. So I know we almost at the end of time. I just want to say thank you everyone for joining this 4th installment of Entrepreneurship Panel. And I'd just like to say let everyone that's on the panel, if you have any last words, please feel free to share. Where they can find you at. IG or your personal business. Everyone here has a personal business. If you need a house, please say, where they can find you at.
One last thing I want to add is to start. Start before you have all your ducks in a row. Start before you can cross all the T's and dot the I's. Start before you even completely fulfill that business plan of 88 pages or whatever the case may be. Just start. Just start. If you have the passion and you know that you have this divine ability to do something, or you really want to tap into something, just go for it. If you can financially, go for it.
And I was going to say, when it comes to getting advice, yes, you can learn something from everyone, but do not let someone who has never been where you're going discourage you from taking that avenue for yourself, because you are going to realize very quickly as you start elevating yourself, especially mentally, especially once your vibration increases, people will make you feel guilty for that. Or they'll try to make you feel, oh, you've changed. You're stuck up. You're bougie now. You do it. Don't let other people discourage you, and do not hold on to advice from people who've never been where you're going.
Yeah, Yasmin, a few folks got a good bye. That's what they got. When you either you're for me or you're not for me, so bye. And yeah. You kind of have, we talked about that protected circle around you throughout this panel. That's really important. It's important for your wellness. It's important for your entrepreneurship. So if they're not for you, goodbye.
Right, and the comment on what Yasmin was saying, people will impose their limitations on you, right? Just because they don't see it possible for themselves, they'll automatically bring that doubt. And, that's why you got to be careful about any ideas or, anything that you have going on and who you choose to express it to and let in on that, right? Because their energy can throw things off. Mm-hmm. So we don't need anybody imposing their limits on us. Keep your ideas to yourself, plant your seeds and, watch it grow in peace.
Right. And then also remember that people, when someone gives you an opinion, a lot of people are walking projections of themselves, right? So their opinion of what you're doing or their opinion of you is literally their projection of themselves. So they think like, this isn't going to work, or this is like crazy, just know that they think it's crazy because they deep down feel like they can't accomplish that goal. That's them, not you.
It's usually not about you.
Yeah.
I'll jump in. I'll say, don't be afraid to pivot. You have to be pivoting at all times. In the beginning, I said, I want to be in the music business, but I don't want to be an artist at all. I don't want to do that. These people are crazy. And my friends were like, no, you need to try this. This will be your way in, blah, blah, blah. Became an artist. And then literally I was broke and I said, hey, man, I wish I could had somebody make my beats. So guess what? I learned how to make my own beats. Then I became a producer. I'm like, damn, I can't, the sound's not right. The sound's off. So then I learned how to do engineering. And then as an engineer, I was like, damn, I wish I had a studio to like, you know, be able to practice more on. So I bought my own equipment and I became a studio owner. So I've always constantly been willing to pivot at every turn. And it actually ended up getting me back to the place I wanted to be where I started. You know what I mean? So it's so interesting when you think you're going off your path. It's actually just designed for you. It's your path. So you don't have to be discouraged. You just have to be willing to embrace the change, you know?
I guess I'll wrap it up here is just always remember why you started, right? You know, what Dee just said, like, you know, the change is going to happen. You're always going to have to pivot, but then you're always going to hit those walls of like, of a block, like where am I, where to next? And then sometimes if you just take a moment and say, why did I start doing this? Right. And then just always keep that forefront, because this world is going to push you to conform. There's a lot of things in business and opportunities and, you know, seeing other people on social or trends or algorithms that'll push you to conform what you do and how you do it. So always just be present with just like why you started doing it anyway, and make sure everything you do is fully aligned to that. And what I like to benchmark myself to when I think about success or things that I do is, if what you're doing is too hard to explain to a child, then you're probably not doing something that you love to do. And if a child can't fully understand what you're doing, if you can't come home in one sentence, say, what do you do when you're outside, mom and daddy or auntie, and you have no way of explaining it, then it's probably too complex for you. So really just make sure your intention and impact just always are fully in alignment as you go, as the world kind of takes you on your journey.
I appreciate y'all. I'm soaking up all y'all energy. We supposed to be technically on the same level. Nah, I'm soaking y'all up. Thank you.
Nah. Yo, nah.
I got notes. I'm just saying, I'm here with my notes.
Nah, I can't say enough, man. Like I said, everyone on this call is a personal friend to me. Thank you for taking this time out. You know, like I said, even before this call, there were so many gems being dropped. You know, and I can't say enough. You know, once you taking everything in, it's like we all living proof of we still trying to make it. You know, we still, you know, learning how to manage ourselves. And as you see, we all have some type of impact in our life. You know, and like I said, one thing my pastor said today, he was like, you don't want to get old and then, you know, and then don't tell yourself like, oh, I wish I could have, should have. You know, you want to be able to be like, yo, I tried, I did. Even if you failed, you got to back up. And it resonated with me. It's like, you know, even if you fail, you get back up. That's why you have family. That's why you have friends. That's why you have, you know, people in your life that, you know, are going to back you. You know, Dee, Jenna, Bonnie, Yasmin, you know, Yasmin, but you know, like, you know, everybody. And even now, you know, Marcia, Anthony, you know, like these are people who, you know, at any given moment, they were all busy. They took time out to do this Kings of Queens Love panel, entrepreneurship. And I can't say enough, you know, I got all these gems that I got to take down because, you know, it was amazing. But I just really want to say, you know, thank you for everyone for joining. You know, you guys are wonderful. And also in like about a month, I'll let you know the date, there will be a fitness panel to talk about love and fitness, because you have to love your body. So I have some fitness people coming through to give you some gems before you start your transition. Well, not you guys, but some people who like to, you know, get in better shape in January. We're gonna give you some tips and some motivation on how to do that. You don't have to always work out. It's all about eating. Not you, D. And also, I'd like to say congratulations to my brother D. You know, he will be getting married soon next year. So, you know, clap it up to him. You know, he made that powerful move. We have Jenna, who has a lovely husband named Rome. You know, power out for them. Anthony and Joshua, you guys are a powerful married couple. I love you guys. And, you know, we here. You know, we love ourselves.
Jasmine.
Yeah. Feel me? Self-loving it. Self-loving it. You better throw us out there.
Yes, I was about to listen.
Don't do that.
Listen, I would say self-love. Self-love. You all have self-love over here. Me, Bonnie, you, all right? All of us, all right? Everybody on this call has self-love. All the panelists have self-love. The audience has self-love. You know, and I like to say, I see a lot of, you know, Kale, you know, everyone, you know, thank you for joining. And yeah, we speak to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Hey,
you
everybody.
for this platform, Ace. It was amazing.
Thank
Thanks for the energy, guys. Y'all were contagious. I soaked it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Wow. Peace, everyone.